there. And that's exactly, before we get into that, let me tell you a little bit about Cari. Cari is a transformational coach and the creator of InnerTruthWork. It's a practice that helps people integrate the parts of themselves they've long avoided or disowned. She went from nearly blind as a child to becoming a Forbes top 50 CMO, and she shares openly about how the real work began when she stopped outrunning her own story. Cari now guides leaders and change makers into the hard conversations that open the door to healing, presence, and real transformation. And today is super special because Sam Kasle is here with us, and Sam has agreed to be coached live, which is super courageous and super vulnerable. So we're so excited that Sam's here. Let me tell you a little bit about Sam. Sam is an entrepreneurial leader with a track record of scaling teams and driving growth for both startups and industry leaders. He's led major turnarounds, product launches, and growth initiatives across multiple industries. Sam is also deeply curious about his own growth. He knows how to help others make big leaps, but today he's turning inward. And he's agreed to do it live with no prep and no script. So that kind of vulnerability and courage is super rare. So we're grateful he's bringing it here today. I would ask that all of you in the audience bring your presence, your curiosity, and your support for this moment. So the way today's going to flow is we're going to begin with a short presence exercise. Then Cari is going to guide Sam through 30 minutes of live coaching, which we want you to witness. And then after that, we're going to open up space for questions from you and reflections. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Cari and be part of the audience with all of you. Cari, take it away.
Thank you so much, Amy. It's always so lovely when I get to get introduced by you. I feel special. And to hear the introduction of Sam. Sam, welcome. Just so the people who are listening know, Sam and I are new to each other. We had one prep call before today. So, and this will be our first time coaching live. And very, very, very honored to have you here. And is my company is called Brave Directions, and so I always say it's very courageous. So we're going to get into a little bit more about who you are, and then we'll dive into the approach. But first, I'd love us all to take just a few minutes together, the three of us as well as the people who are live, to do a short grounding meditation. So wherever you are, you can be sitting or standing. Just by closing your eyes, that will begin to bring you inward. And notice first where your breath is landing in your body, sort of the tail end of the breath. Maybe your breath is landing at the base of your throat or the top of your throat. Maybe the tail end of the breath is landing a little further down, the top of the sternum. And just notice how the breath feels as it lands. Does it feel wide, expansive, free-flowing? Does it feel a bit stuck? And just beckon the breath further down the body, inviting it into your heart space. And this includes the back of the heart, so the behind your ribs, your back body. Inviting the breath even further down to the solar plexus and to the lower abdomen. And pulling the breath all the way down the legs and into the feet, into the toes. And really landing in time and space and in presence. Maybe kissing the hand of presence in a way you haven't before. We talk about presence a lot, but being present is hard work. Sensing the container we're building here, the connection with each other, even over the internet. The energetic resonance of just slowing down, connecting to your body, and connecting to presence in each other. And when you're ready, bringing the attention with the eyes closed to the back of the neck. And just cracking your eyes the tiniest amount open while holding the attention on the back of the neck. And just experiment with holding the attention on the back of the neck, which helps you stay down and in your body, while slowly opening the eyes, staying with the tail end of the breath, staying inside the body as you open your eyes. Okay, so Sam, you have the story that Amy told, which is kind of your amazing corporate story or business persona, but I got to hear a little bit more about you. You were an artist. You were a successful young artist. You have served time in a Buddhist monastery. I'd love it if you could share with us a little bit more about who you are in totality.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, for me, it's about experience. It's kind of about I have a lot of energy. I've always had a lot of energy, and maybe there were times where I rejected that and said, that's problematic. You're acting out or something like that. Especially when I was young, I'm sure, with ADHD or whatnot. But I've really come to accept it as just that's how I move through the world. And oak tree's an oak tree, and Sam is a Sam. So, I'm always looking for new adventures. I'm always looking for new experiences, going on them with people that I love, so I can experience with them and see how they go through it. And that's led me to lots of different corners. And I feel like I'm pretty bold about it. I was an amateur race car driver for a couple of years, and years before I got to that point, I started taking lessons at the track. And driving up on my first morning of the first lesson, I pulled over on the side of the road heading towards Sonoma, and anxiety puked all over the side of the road. And I remember I was like, you can go back. Like, my wife's not going to be disappointed in me. I didn't tell everybody about this, so there's no expectations. You can go home. You don't need to do this. But um, in those moments, I have to go do it. Like, that's when I have to step forward.
So I'm hearing this part of you that's really called towards experience and called to follow your energetic impulses, even sometimes in the face of anxiety.
Definitely. I think there's good anxiety and bad anxiety. There's the anxiety we've all had the first time we were on a high dive and you saw all the other kids do it. You knew it was going to be safe. It's water. You were just in that water, but you're still anxious. And then there's, petrifying, terrifying anxiety. I'm not saying burst through every wall, but expand the view to see that, anxiety is it's there are different kinds, and most of them you mean that you should step forward, and kind of in my view.
So maybe that's why you stepped forward to do this today, because it's pretty brave. I would love for you to share with the live audience before we sort of officially open the coaching session, the story that you shared with me about, growing up as a creative kid and getting your MFA and some of the, exploration you had spiritually and ultimately landed you in your kind of corporate life.
Yeah, I mean, I was raised in a religious home but not necessarily always an observant home. So spirituality and that was always very important. And in our tradition, being a Jew, we're taught from an early age to question everything. The right method to get to truth is through questioning, and nothing's off the table. That you shouldn't withhold that. It should be an unbridled full exploration. So my house as a child and my house today is full of lively conversations about every topic. Um, but that instilled in me this sense of I don't know whether nature versus nurture or some combination of the two was this drive to go find myself, and I think part of what fed that energy was that my biological father died when I was very young, died when I was 3. I was raised by Yoda. I was raised by a man who was born in 1908, infinite patience, infinite wisdom. So that was great. But there was always the sense of who am I? And I had my mom, but I had only a negative space where my biological father would have been to understand how he moved through the world or how my mom and him, interacted or any of those things. So this kind of diving into the void happened for me very, very, very early. And in my high school days, I thought I was gonna on a religious track. I thought I was gonna be a rabbi like my grandfather was. And then as I went into college at the University of Florida, I shifted it to more generalized into philosophy overall. And I had in high school, I already started being exposed to some Eastern philosophy with the Dao Ching and Lao Tzu and other people. And then from philosophy at the University of Florida, my family has a history in the fine arts, so it was natural for me to go into the fine arts. I had always drawn, painted, taken photographs since I was a kid. That was always part of who I was. So I went from religion to philosophy into fine arts, and then there was a moment of I don't know, maturity or something. I don't know what you think about it, but I was like, oh, I'm gonna go from the MFA program at the Art Institute of Chicago. I'm gonna leave that opportunity, and I'm actually gonna pursue an MBA program at either UC, University of Chicago, or Northwestern. And I ended up at Northwestern. And some of my Art Institute friends, who I'm still close with today, they're like, you're a traitor. What are you doing? You're selling out to the man. But there's this my brain has this kind of conceptual plasticity where everything just kind of becomes the same at the same time. I have to find my way to get back to the concrete practical now sometimes, because I kind of like living in that larger space. I was like, I don't really see the difference necessarily between the paintings or installations I was doing to be sold, get ego, get lauded on, become a art star, and product management and doing creative things for user experience. And your business model is fundamentally constrained because of this blocker. Like, I kind of see creativity as much more universal than oil or water paint versus an Excel sheet. And that creative flow has continued in my business career. I think it's given me kind of some superpowers for any of you, hey guys who've worked with me. But but all throughout, and maybe the tendril here is that I love to jump at new opportunities, and that's probably why I'm sitting in the seat. When you all reached out to me, there was no consideration. It was like, this is new, never done that before. Let's try it. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you. And the creative soul in me is just taking a deep exhale. I'm sure anyone who's listening who thought of themselves or their younger selves even, or their separate selves as like, oh, there's the me over there that paints. And then there's the me over here or does spirituality. And then there's the me over here that like is a product manager or is a CMO. It's sweet music to my ears to hear you share how those feel in the body like the same thing. And that's a beautiful teaching right there. for everyone, including me. So you can see why Sam is really, primed to do this work. One of the things that I think we coaches say is, are you coachable? Or are you not coachable? Right. And when we interview clients for the first time, that's really what coaches are looking for. And you can hear in what Sam is sharing how open he is. And I can hear, Sam, that you're already very connected to who you are as a human being, to your heart, to what makes you happy, to your value set. And so I'm appreciating you giving me a deeper taste of that, and the people who are joining us today a little bit more about who you are. I think when we can know someone, it makes us feel connected to them. So I appreciate you being so open. So, okay, we're going to officially dive in. And the first thing that I want to, as we open this, I imagine like a little curtain opening every time I start a coaching session on my screen. So the curtain is opening and we're here to begin our coaching session. And specifically, we're going to be using my approach, InnerTruthWork, as the basis. This isn't always how I coach. This isn't always need to be done through a coach. This is something that anyone can do. I launched a podcast that dropped today that runs through the 5 steps of this approach. And what I say in that podcast is that you can do this and work on one particular shadow or disowned part or something you don't like about yourself or a behavior you're embarrassed of or something that you feel shame around. And you can work that for a while. You can also do this as a weekly practice, which is sort of where I am living now, where I really go in and I just check. I call it looking with a flashlight, right? We'll look with the flashlight to see what's here. What is my body spirit telling me that I need to bring into consciousness this week? Where is the work? So this isn't like a 1 and done or a 3 and done. This is really meant to be a new kind of practice. And I will also say, this came very intuitively to me. So this was something I started doing, probably about 25 years ago, and was really only to name it in the last 5 years. But I will say that I'm not the first to do this. This really pulls from things like polyvagal theory. It pulls from traditional Buddhist meditation practice. There's lots of people teaching or using versions of this. This just happens to be my version. And it has its own sort of Cari sauce on it. So we're going to use that as the backbone today. So the first thing I want to do, Sam, is ask you as we begin, is there anything in terms of ground rules or setting the container that you would like to put forward, have me know today as we begin?
Not really. I think I'm open to the experience, and I don't want to put any gates around it. I trust your guidance.
I appreciate your trust. I'm grateful for that. So I probably have just one, and that is that I think it's easy in any kind of therapeutic environment to put the coach or the therapeutic practitioner on some sort of pedestal. And I just want to shatter that. I happen to be coaching you today. And I'm playing the role of the coach, but you have sovereignty and you have agency in this, and you can tell me something's not working or, to move on. That is yours to do. Okay. So, this is going to be a meditative process, Sam. So I'm going to start off. It's a 5-step process. You probably won't notice the steps, although I may say, we're moving into this or into that. And your role here is really just to receive from your spirit, receive from your body, and be present to your own experience. And my hope is that at the end of this, there's something that will really come up for you. And you know what? If not, don't force it. That's okay too. We just want to be present with exactly what's here. Okay. So you're sitting, right, Sam?
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So, as we begin, there's a couple ways that I like to teach postural sitting. So the first is you can keep your feet either one-on-one, both feet on the floor in a seated position.
Okay.
You're also free to cross your ankles at the ankle if that's more comfortable. You can sit in lotus position or cross-legged position if you like.
I could.
Yeah, you and me both. Not at 60. It's not happening. And then there's a couple ways to hold your hands. People ask me this, like, what do I do with my arms? What you don't want to do is interlock your fingers. And that's just because we don't want to constrain the energy anywhere in your body. We want to leave it open. So you can either put, one hand on each knee, or I like to sit lying, one hand in the other, and you just hold them in your hands. And, you can even roll your shoulders back so that as we're sitting, we're not beginning to like close off our heart space, because we want to actually keep that open. And then we'll actually close our eyes now. And I'll ask you, before we begin to dive into meditation, to just try something, which is to actually go against all things in the West and release your belly muscles. So it's almost like the Buddha, right? Like you're just releasing, and you're making almost like when we were kids and we would pretend like we're pregnant. You're just releasing your belly muscles. And sometimes that can feel like it's allowing the spine to float up off the sacrum with more support. It almost grounds the bottom part of the spine so that your spine and your neck and your head can float more freely. And this allows for, your vagus nerve, what used to be called the chakra system and still is, before we knew what our biology looked like. Our wise elders named the chakra system, which is really just the vagus nerve really running up and down the spine, the body, and the nervous system itself. So we'll just take some deep breaths, coming into time and space together. And the first step of this practice is to ground ourselves into safety and into the body. And I will name that Sam and I connected before. And if you're doing this practice and you're someone who's had deep trauma, you'll just go slowly into the body. And if at any point, Sam, you feel like, Sam has shared with me, he doesn't feel like he's had deep, deep, deep trauma. So, but if at any point, Sam, again, you can open your eyes and come back into the room and stop the session. And so we'll start by just connecting to the breath and beginning to re-embody. And you may have heard, Sam, that many of us live anywhere from 5 to 15 feet out in front of our bodies most of the time. We're not actually living with our energy sitting down inside the body. So as we breathe together, we'll begin to pour ourselves back into our body. So just notice the air as it passes both nostrils at the same time. Notice the sensation, the temperature, perhaps how your body receives just the noticing itself. And the mind may want to toggle from one nostril to the other, but instead we're going to beckon it to both nostrils at the same time. And on the next inhale, we'll pull that breath further back to the back of the throat, and maybe feeling the temperature of the air as it moves past both nostrils to the back of the throat. Just this short distance. Perhaps noticing your ears, your jaw, the top of your head, your hair. And on the next inhale, whenever that is for you, Sam, noticing the breath passing both nostrils at the same time, touching the back of the throat and traveling down the body into the heart space. And notice if you feel it landing in the heart space. The front of the heart, the back of the heart. We have this rib cage that surrounds our heart. So you can almost imagine your heart dangling inside of this rib cage. On the next inhale, pulling the breath down past the back of the throat, the heart, into the solar plexus. I'm beginning to connect with just what's here. And we're going to keep the mind out of this exercise. So if the mind wants to get involved and start telling stories or looking for answers in the body, we'll just lovingly treat the mind like a little puppy and ask it to go wait in the corner while we're doing this exercise. So we're just noticing as we bring our concentration to the solar plexus, if we're not like anything that feels, maybe it feels bright, maybe it feels kind of gooey, maybe there's a sensation of numbness or tingling or darkness, murkiness. This is where we're beginning to get our flashlight out, and we're just sort of moving through the body to notice what's here. On the next inhale, we'll inhale through the nose, past the back of the throat, down past the heart space, the solar plexus, into the abdomen. So landing into the upper and lower abdomen, the space between your hips. And again, noticing, is there darkness, stickiness, lightness? Is there emotion here? Something wanting to be expressed? Is there numbness, tingling? Tightness. Well, where's the tightness?
In the front of my Buddha belly. It's the front of the abdomen.
Front of the abdomen. So just staying with the tightness. As you bring intention and attention to the tightness, what do you notice?
Like it has a desire to be released, but it's not fully letting go.
Okay. So desire to release, but holding on. And so we're now sort of moving into the second phase of this approach, which is listening to the body and what the body is saying. And the body's saying, oh, there's something here it wants to release. But also there's a holding on. And as you stay with the sensation, are there any images, thoughts, ideas that are not generated from the mind that are literally coming from this place in the body, that a notion of what this could be about for you, Sam?
Certainly some amount of anxiety, some kind of block there, and maybe like a aversion to disappoint, like a fear of disappointing.
So let's just stay with that. Fear of disappointing. Maybe the fear has a color or a shape.
It's definitely rigid against my soft body.
Rigid against your soft body.
It feels like it wants me to believe it's an immovable obstacle, like it's part of who I am, and this is the extent of your breath, your free-flowing breath.
Is there a feeling that comes up for you as you name that, Sam?
It's it feels foreign. It feels like, even though it's inside of me, it feels like an external restriction. It feels like the fight, feels like fighting against it makes it worth. There are some breaths where I can feel a release, and then there are other breaths where it feels like it doubles down, and
Mm, mm. So it's almost as if it's gripping to hold on, like it's going to double down, like I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to grip harder.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, just stay with it. Stay with the breath and sensing into this tightness, this rigidness, this doubling down, this fear. And are there stories from either present day or past that seem to be connected to this sensation, this fear?
I think it's the fear of letting people down. Um, my mom, visions of my mom come up as I'm a kid. Visions of my family.
Your present day
Just
family or your childhood
my
family?
present day family, childhood mom. Like, careful what you say next, or be careful what the next step is.
Mm. So be careful.
Yeah, or don't embarrass me.
Don't embarrass. Don't embarrass.
And pressure to say, don't embarrass and do the right thing. Do the thing that makes me smile, that delights me. I'm thinking about my mom mainly right now.
Mm. Were these words that she said to you?
Oh yeah.
And as you're kind of connecting with this old narrative, this conditioning that's living in your belly, this interplay between rigidity against your soft body, doing the right thing, are there feelings that you feel now connected to this memory, connected to this narrative?
Mm. Yeah, the desire to make those around me happy by
Mm.
reading their minds and doing exactly what they expect.
Mm-hmm.
And
What would
then
happen if you go ahead?
right, and then there's a simultaneous of like loss of self, like, 'cause it's not about what I want to express. It's about what I need to express for the other person.
Mm. So leaving a sense of almost leaving yourself to ensure that the other person has their needs met.
Right?
What would happen if you didn't follow that narrative when you were younger, if you didn't do the right thing?
Um, Short-term anger directed at me, and then kind of longer-term indifference.
Mm. So a feeling of disconnection would happen.
Yes, yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Mm. Do you have another way of putting it?
No, I think that, I mean, that's like the fear is that you'll lose the love. In order to get the love, you have to press the right buttons. And if I press the buttons I want to press, they may or may not be right.
So there's this almost searching, like a constant search for making sure you're pressing the right buttons, and they not necessarily coming from your own instinct, your own body, your own intuition, but trying to sort through hers.
Yeah, never-ending Rubik's Cube.
Mm. Never ending Rubik's Cube. How does it
And
feel now?
different, yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, different rules every day. I mean, honestly, like the tension is still there, but it's certainly resided and it's moved. It's almost like it's pivoted from pointing out from my belly button to it's like pivoting down towards my pelvis. So it's relaxed a little, but it's not gone. It's reminding me that I
Okay.
better press the right button.
Okay, but it's moving. It's shifting.
Hmm.
This
Yeah.
energy that was rigid and stuck, it's now sort of moving through the body as you listen and watch what it's saying. Um, you talked about sort of this Rubik's cube and the answers changing every day, which is the right button. Leaving yourself to try and to figure that out. How does it feel to hear me repeat that back to you?
Feels like you feel my plight.
Hmm. Okay. So let's take some deep breaths and go down into sort of your pelvis area, the area where it's moving, where it's shape shifting. Let's follow it. So we're not going to abandon this part of you. And if today, in this moment, you could send that part of you that feels like sometimes things can be a Rubik's Cube. Things are changing every day. You never have the right answer. You're always leaving yourself to make sure someone else's buttons get pushed or needs get met. What would you say today to rewrite that?
I mean, I don't think this gets to the heart, but there's definitely an ownership of, being with my wife for 25 years and, having now young adult children and late teen children. Like, part of me loves doing exactly what they want. Like, I love to cook the food they want the way they want it. That makes me happy. But it's differentiated, um, I think, from my mother's experience and that there was more of a demand for a loss of self, like a surrender in a way, um, or like a changing like a chameleon to adapt to what was expected, and there was less of a true concern for me. I mean, maybe what I'm just describing is that like I feel a lot of love for my family, and although I've always felt a lot of love for my mom, there was this. Is she really interested? Is she really just totally selfish? Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then those fears intertwine where if I'm doing something selfless for somebody, there's always this question of like, am I giving too much of myself away? And how do I how do I balance feeling good about doing good like altruistic things for other people and not having that always feel like a loss of self? And then when does it cross a line to like diseased behavior when you're just from 7 a.m. till 11 at night, giving, 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 and then your day is finally done when everyone else is asleep.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little hairy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So what's happening in the body now? If you can connect to the breath, connect to the energy
Um,
as you're giving it voice.
my friend's still there, but
Still there? Yeah.
letting me breathe a little easier.
Yeah. Just staying with the breath. Sam, if there were one thing, one message that this particular part of you, this particular experience were to give you now, in today's world? Like, how is it showing up? I hear that your family, you love giving to them, but there was this part of you that also sort of giving yourself away. How is that active for you today?
When the first thing that pops up is my oldest two kids are girls, um, 20 and 17, going to be 18, and I've always wanted them to make sure that they were strong enough to be themselves, um, not overbearing and overrunning. It's completely self-centered, but I wanted to make sure that they had their own identities separate from a relationship because um, uh, it always felt like women in my family would easily just surrender entirely to who their partner was at the time, and you saw well that there's beauty in surrender, especially if both people are doing it. Um, there's there's just the law, the potential for the loss. So that's the first thought that came up, is trying to empower my daughters to be themselves.
Mm. So is it a dance between the surrender and this empowerment?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's the yin and the yang. I mean, it's like, yeah, how do you surrender and be yourself simultaneously?
Mm-hmm,
You
mm-hmm,
know,
mm-hmm.
how do you give and take? How do you give and take in the same action?
Without giving yourself away, where
Yeah,
you've forgotten about your own needs and the needs of someone else and trying to figure out the Rubik's Cube and trying to fit just right.
right.
Right. Okay. So we're going to move into the final step, and then we'll come out and have a chat about this experience. So the final step is for us to just connect to that part of the body, wherever this energy is living, wherever this sensation, this feeling, this narrative, this story, whatever you want to name it. And when we last checked in, you said it was sort of dancing somewhere around sort of your hips, your pelvis. Is it still hanging out there?
Yeah, like underneath my belly button.
Underneath your belly button. Okay. And can we just really zone in on it and really connect with it for a moment? And can we offer it gratitude? Thank you to this part of me, this part of me that isn't sure sometimes where I start and end. This part of me that dances between feeling rigid and soft. This part of me that wants so much to serve and give, but also honor my own needs. And thank you for connecting, showing me to myself. I always say my greatest work is constantly revealing the truth of myself to myself. So just having a bow to that. And when you're ready, just seeing yourself first before opening your eyes, sitting inside your room. And then slowly putting the attention on the back of the neck again, just to hold yourself down and in your body. It's such a tendency to open our eyes and leap out side of our body and back into a disembodied state. So holding our attention on the neck and slowly, slowly opening the eyes as you do kind of serves to keep us down in ourselves. Yeah, thank you. How you doing?
Good. That was really, that was good. It's being a pusher. It's a hard lesson to learn that in order, some obstacles need release. So even when you're breathing, it's, pushing in to the tension then results in more tension instead of that other easing into it and open and kind of giving it its own space and its own time to let go. So that's a daily lesson for me.
Hmm. Was there anything in that surprised you?
There are themes that I've revisited. Um, 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 I think the one thing that I hadn't really thought about before, that there was a little bit of a surprise, was recognizing that even though we often, rehearse and revisit the dances that we learned as children, like the dance with my family is different than the dance with my mom,
Mm.
and it kind of isolates her as like, love my mom very much. Passed away 2 years ago. Wonderful, but we all have issues with our mom and dad. But that my mom that my mom brought something to this that the current people I'm living with and loving and aren't bringing the same thing to it.
Mm.
So I maybe the follow on there is like, yeah, uh you had this, traumatic, or you had this interaction with your mom growing up, but because of her, let's just be brutal, because of her narcissism, but whatever,
Mhm.
she was unable to provide the love in a way that I feel every day with my family. And
Mm.
I might still be dancing a dance that my family doesn't even know the steps to, because it was a dance
Mm.
that my mom and I had.
That feels big.
It's bringing a tear to my eye. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see the tear.
But being a parent, I do have to say, we are just people and we all do the best we can.
Of
So,
course. Of
yeah.
course.
So putting it into a larger context.
Yeah, but also I think you're pointing out something so important and beautiful around how we can be dancing our own, like our nervous system and our cellular memory and our brains and all of our conditioning can be dancing a dance, and we're bringing that dance into a place that may or may not know the steps.
Different music entirely. Yeah.
Different music entirely. And so you can see how, like, this part of you, this that lives in your stomach, right? Rigid, tight against the soft. I thought that was so profound, against the soft part of you, right? This part that's like, I got to know the steps. I got to, like, that touched me when you said, it changed day to day and I never knew the steps, right? That part of you that could be entering and creating maybe some messiness for you. Like, now you're bringing it into the light so you can begin to work with that
Right.
more aggressively.
Thank you. I appreciate this. This was a great experience.
I'm curious. I have one more question. Do you feel like
Yeah.
there's ways that this shows up for you at work?
Oh, yeah. I'm as codependent as codependency comes. And I've been a manager since I was in my mid-20s. So I've, professionally, forget leadership before that. So I'm always looked at as a leader, unless there's someone who trumps me in the room and then they're the leader. But generally, and there's this interesting interplay between, I think it's helped me a lot because, um, whether I'm naturally empathetic or my codependency drives me to try to understand the other person so I can make them happy. I don't want to just make my boss happy. I want to make my team happy. And if my team isn't happy, then I'm not going to be happy. So there's, it's like many diseases or whatever it is that there's a really positive side to it. But then there's a line, a big gray swath where you don't know where the line actually is, where then you go too far. And now I'm not, like, in the business world, I'm not leading as effectively as I should be because my primacy is put on happiness and a smile. So just like where, at what point do I course correct, give constructive feedback and direct feedback? And at what point do I need to say, oh, this person's having a really bad day. They're not open to any feedback today. They're going through a divorce. They're having illness, whatever the issue might be. And I need 3 to 5 minutes with them to just be people and have them be heard. And then maybe they'll be opened up to their KPIs. But yeah, this is, I think it's a double sword. I think it's one of the things that has helped me connect with people. But then the codependency, that is like the dis-ease of it, the dysfunction of it, is letting it go too far. And that's always a line I have to be. And maybe that's the gratitude I showed to my little, hard friend in my stomach. Maybe they're reminding me that, like, hey, you're about to cross that line again. Like, this, you need to stand up for yourself. You need to, we need to get something done today. Like,
Well, and also just
now's not
allowing you to be in the room. Allowing you to be in the room. Like, I think you were onto something around, and you shared this with me in our little pre-get to know you session. Like, it's not about the leader being seen. It's not about the leader pumping their chest. It's not about the artist who's getting the accolades. It's about how you showed up for your team. And what I'm hearing is there's a shadow to that, which is that if you get really real with yourself, there's a way that is true, but there's also a slippery slope to giving yourself away in that and not being seen at all. And so, one thought I'll give you to ruminate on is, how are you allowing yourself to be in the room? Even when you gave me that example around your team and around, is today the right day to give feedback? Are they, it was oriented towards the other.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think there's an opportunity to bring, as an authentic leader, to bring yourself into that. What am I feeling today? How am I feeling? What do I need? And to surface that. I think so often we're taught as leaders that, a good leader, is humble, and that word just is being overused in ways I feel like is kind of dangerous today, because there is a way that if we're codependent, we can easily interpret humble as moving completely to the other,
right,
without us being in the room at the same time with our needs.
Clearly. Yeah.
So I'll leave you with that. If we were doing an actual coaching session, I would ask you, Sam, is there an action, something you could take that you could do over the next couple of weeks to really work with this material that we've surfaced today?
I think what seems intuitive for me would be to get back and meditate some, and sit and breathe some more, and kind of do more of the somatic practice, and all the way down, and then where do I hit that roadblock? And instead of trying to punch through the wall, just let it flow by on the river a little bit, and
Yeah.
maybe don't interact with it so much, and just be the observer, and see how that goes. That seems, that would be my first instinct, for sure.
That sounds like a great action. And can I check back in with you in a week or two and just see how you're doing?
Yeah, let's go. Yeah.
I have to say, your energy, your face looks very different to me now. Your eyes are more open than they were when we started. Your jaw is relaxed. Your lips have more movement in them. Your head is tilting in a different way. And that just makes me feel more at ease with you.
Oh, nice. Okay,
Yeah,
good to
so
hear.
I'm
Thank
really
you.
appreciative of you bringing so much realness and authenticity and vulnerability to this. It was such a joy to coach you.
Thanks for having me.
So I think we're going to open it up, right?
Yeah, we Well, first, Sam, I just want to honor you for your courage and your vulnerability. I didn't know what magic would come from this. But yeah, thank you. Thank you for showing up. And Cari, also, thank you for, I don't know many coaches that would coach live either. So I think that's a courageous act in itself as well. Yeah, what a beautiful container we all created. And the audience, I felt a lot of warmth and support and energy from the audience. And I think that brings some magic to the session as well. So thank you to the audience. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Cari. Thank you to People Forward Network for creating this platform. Thank you to Jason for helping us bring this vision into a reality. We've dropped some questions into the chat for everyone about what do you think? How was it to watch this experience? What feelings came up for you? What questions do you have about the process? And we will continue this conversation in the Finding Treasures in the Trash community. And Jason, I don't know if you can drop that hashtag for everyone to join over there where we can chat, but that would be, I see you're typing, so that would be incredible. I also want to share, if you followed along with Cari's method here, coaching method, and you want to dive a little bit more into it, she has this 5 Days to Truth meditation series that you can self-pace. And I just dropped the link in the chat as well. And we're going to continue these live events the third Thursday of every month here in the People Forward Network community platform. And they are aligning with the same day that Cari's episode airs on Finding Treasures in the Trash. So lots of resources there. We are at the top of the hour, but we'll be over in the member community. If people want to chat and share how they felt, please connect with us. And once again, Sam, I am just so appreciative for you and your authenticity and your courage and your vulnerability, and Cari, you as well, doing live coaching. So that's what I have to say. Anything else you want to share before we end the session today?
I'll pass it to Sam first.
Thank you so much. I just want to double down on Cari's bravery. We really didn't know each other at all, so this was a big risk. Who knows what this box would have contained?
Yes.
That's incredible. Yeah, incredible. Yeah. Jason actually commented a takeaway was to give space to the discomfort instead of taking it head on or suppressing it. That was it. Thank you, Jason, for sharing that.
That's great. And I learned an exercise. I'm taking a course, and I learned an exercise Wednesday that really demonstrates that. And it's called the fist. And you hold your fist out and you try and pry open. If you want to do it with me, Amy, you try to pry your fist open, and there'll be a natural tendency for your body to want to clench.
Pull it back. Yeah.
Pull back. And then you put I call this the blanket of love. They didn't call this the blanket, but when you flatten your hand and put it over your fist, you can actually feel your body. Like your body wants to let go, all the way through your spine. Your body will want to just let go.
Feels a little looser. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah. Jason, what you're saying really matches this, this idea that, we don't have to take it head on like a Mack truck. We're allowing it to be what it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Jason put the link to the community in the chat. So if anybody wants to go in and chat about the experience, there was a lot of comments about how powerful this was to watch live. So again, thank you all. Thank you, audience, for joining with your incredible energy. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Cari. Thank you, People Forward Network. And
thank you all. Thank you, Amy.
Next time when we go digging, finding treasures in the trash again. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.